I am a big believer that if you're not scared, it's not worth it. You need to do it. You're not scared and it's easy for you, then you are not going to work harder. You're not going to overcome those challenges.
You just heard Lizette Patterson, founder and CEO of Cazador Consulting Group Inc. Lizette Patterson's passion is matching individuals seeking new career opportunities with the right position and company. Sitting down with the decision makers within a company and getting down to the core of their needs. Not just what they need on a resume, but what is deeper than that. Environment, personality, future growth, and so many details that cannot be met by a resume. In staffing, success comes from reaching beyond experience and skill set. She gets to know personalities, company cultures, and to make direct hire matches that work and last. In today's show, we discuss the need and efficiencies of using a staffing firm. Later in the show, we talk about giving back to the community. And be sure to stay tuned to hear rapid fire answers from Lizette Patterson.
Welcome back to the Our 2 Cents podcast, the show where your local professionals sit down with an array of guests to hear their story and impart some wisdom for both business and life-improving skills. This is your place to hear business and community leaders discuss relevant topics that matter to you.
And welcome to the show. My name's Troy Burden. I'm your co-host today. I'm in here with Amanda DiGiacomo from Atlas Financial. She's a new addition to our podcast co-host, and love to have her. She's doing a great job. Hey, folks, before we get started today, I'd encourage you to go back and check us out on our Instagram page. We're doing a lot of things on Instagram. It's a way you can stay up to date and see new releases, what's coming up, as well as past releases. And, of course, we do have a webpage, too, of our2centspodcast.com that you can see all of our episodes. Lizette, we're happy to have you join us today. Thanks for being here. I can't wait to get into some of today's topics, but before we get started, why should companies choose to go through a staffing agency versus just recruiting on their own?
Finding an employee is one of the hardest things you're going to do. And a lot of times staffing agencies have those extra recruiters that you're going to need. So it's an outside source for you. And we get a lot of really good information. A lot of companies, when they're looking for an employee, they focus on the job description and what they're needing. They forget to focus on the culture, the environment, those other things that people don't really think about when they're looking at the resumes. Then they call a staffing agency, they'll call me, and they'll let me know, I need an accountant. Well, you need an accountant. It's going to be different per each office. Then I will get into the nitty gritty about your work environment, your vision, your culture. Who are they going to be reporting to? Is the person they're going to be reporting to an A-type personality? I need to know that.
An accounting firm? Yes.
Exactly. You have some accounting firms out there actually that people are really fun.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, but yes, I understand.
So what I'm hearing you say is just because they're qualified on a resume, which I could build a pretty resume, doesn't mean they're the right fit for the job. So you go a lot deeper.
A lot deeper, and you just wasted your time interviewing someone that's not going to be the right fit for you.
And so to start that process, I'm assuming you meet with the client that's looking for bodies, recruitment.
Correct.
And you really interview them. What's the position? What does it look like? Who do they work with? All the ins and outs. And I am sure you have a checklist of 50 deep, if not more. And really try to find someone to fit that model.
Exactly.
So that would mean your success rate is going to be extremely high instead of just somebody saying, hey, HR department, we need a new accounting person. Run an ad in the paper, the old days, or Craigslist, or whatever the case is. Post it on LinkedIn. I mean, they all work. And of course, we all see the advertisements every day of all the monsters.com and all that. But you're telling me that is kind of a revolving door.
It is. It really is a revolving door. Success will be much higher. But it really does depend also on who your person that's representing you through the staffing agency. Because it's up to us to really dig deep and really get the information and not just throw spaghetti to a wall, send you resumes of people that we think you like. So it takes longer for us to provide those resumes for you, maybe a day or two longer, because we're really pre-qualifying these candidates deeply.
Interesting. So when someone calls you and says, I'm looking for some people, and you're going to send one of your staff members out, you have specialty employees that specialize in those type of industries, so
Yes.
they understand the mentality and really what you're understanding?
Yes. Exactly. So I'll send the expert within those industries to go and ask questions and get all the information. I am not the person to call just to call and give a job order to. It's not beneficial for you and it's not beneficial for me. I cannot just send you resumes off of a job description and off of a phone call. I need to sit down, look at your work environment, talk to you. How are you treating me during that conversation that we're having? Do we mesh? Do we not mesh?
Sure.
You know, those are really important things because now I have become a partner with you. We are joint employers.
Right.
And so we really need to make sure we did have a connection. You know, you don't need to be my best friend, but we need to have that respect, integrity, and trust within each other for us to call each other about hard conversations that we will have with our employees because it's a product that's very volatile. It's a person.
Well, it sounds like you're interviewing your customer and your customer's interviewing you to make sure it's a fit before you send them resumes to interview.
Exactly.
Which I like because other staffing agencies might just send you resumes hoping you'll land somebody so they can get their fee and they don't really care about retention and if they stay. And in this case, like, you know, there's nothing ever guaranteed, but and you're like, hey, like we have vetted, we're trying to find somebody who fits you and your culture and your business, like the return on your investment is much higher than if you went somewhere else, which is nice.
It is. And it's also reputation. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to build a legacy. I want to have many branches and I want to base it off of reputation, not just because I'm giving you 20 resumes, you interview 10 and you finally found one. I want to give you 3 resumes and you identify your person and then you will refer me that way because I left a good taste in your mouth. I didn't waste your time and we built a relationship.
Right. So let's talk about Cazador Consulting, your company. I know you've been in the staffing position, other positions for other companies for quite some time, so it's not a new game for you. When did you decide to take the leap and start your own?
It was very, very quick. I made the decision the end of December. I knew I was of 2020 that I was going to either run a branch for another company.
Okay.
Or open my own branch. And end of December, I decided January 7th, we were going to open our doors for Cazador Consulting Group.
So lockdown was, February 2020?
Yes.
And I've interviewed other people that you even know, and that made the leap from working for somebody and starting their own firm. Mm-hmm. And obviously there was a lot of uncertainty when we were in lockdown and COVID, and we just didn't know. I mean, you had to be flexible. So saying that, you had to have some fear. I don't care how much knowledge you have. I mean, I'm in the insurance industry and I do employee benefits. And the first thing I thought is all my employers are going to lay off all their people. A lot of them did. Not all, but a lot.
Right.
And then some blew up because what they did was so specialized, it fit that model and they maybe even doubled. But it was very uncertain times and very volatile. And every day was a new volatile and still is today somewhat. When you read the news, it's not all great. So did you have it for sure? Did you...
Oh, I was scared.
Yeah, tell me about that.
I was so scared, but I believe in having mentors. I believe in having people around you that are going to push you and help you remember why you're so good at what you do. And I am a big believer that if you're not scared, it's not worth it. You need to do it. You're not scared and it's easy for you, then you are not going to work harder. You're not going to overcome those challenges. So I did it. And I'm like, I am so scared, but I also am the mentality that I did come from very, very humble beginnings and said, I've ate rice and beans for weeks on end. What's the worst that can happen?
You were willing to take some sacrifice.
Might as well just go for it. It was scary. It was COVID. Everybody had different opinions of what was going to happen. You know, to see the stock market, it was scary, but I decided to turn all that off and just follow my gut and just do it even if I was scared.
Did the culture of like hiring and firing and the remoting into work, did that impact? Because you started, December of 2020, people were still working remote in 2021. Like, did that impact, like how, like the industry changed for employment? Did that impact your business in a negative or positive way?
I would say positive. Most people would say negative. I say positive because it made us learn how to really dig and really search and really find the right candidates. They weren't just coming to you anymore. They were usually wanting unemployment. That's what was happening. Sure. So you had a lot of people applying for the positions who didn't really want the positions. And if they did, they wanted to work remotely or half remote. So it really made us dig a lot deeper. So it was negative because we had an influx of candidates that really didn't want to work. They were just wasting our time interviewing them.
Right.
They're trying to get their check. Just say that they applied somewhere.
Check the box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then it also taught us how to persevere in a time that you were getting frustrated because you would interview 10 people and out of the 10, only one was available.
Yep.
And then you started catching it like, okay, ask this question first. That will eliminate that person. So it taught us things.
Lizette, did you start just you alone? I know you have employees now. We'll get into that. But when you first started, were you a one-man band?
For a very short time.
One lady band?
Very short time. So luckily when I left the other company I was with, they dissolved my department. So my assistant had no job available.
So she was available.
She was free. So I gave her a call. I said, this is what I'm doing. And she's like, OMG. I'm like, yes, you're going to take a pay cut, but I need you.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm there. So I started, and shortly after I had Stephanie join the team. And then I hired a junior accountant. Then I hired a recruiter because I was doing the recruiting.
Right.
And we moved on from there.
And how many do you have today?
10.
And you're operating here in Bakersfield.
Yes.
I noticed that you have some job postings up north in the Visalia, Fresno, Clovis area. But I also see that you have Las Vegas.
I sure do.
How did Las Vegas come into the picture?
I am very fortunate. My partners that I decided to partner with do have a company in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a place that I love how much manufacturing they have actually out there that people don't know about. And
oh, you mean they do things besides just casinos?
Yes, they do. It's really big out there. If you guys go to Summerlin or Henderson, it's just beautiful. Going to Green Valley Ranch, amazing. Sure. So I decided why not go for it. And one of my clients from Bakersfield had a location in Las Vegas also. So I offered my services, said yes. We went on, and I've opened Las Vegas, and we are pounding the pavement in Vegas and trying to make it grow.
And this is all in 2 years, which is super impressive. And one thing that you said earlier that struck me was that your assistant from the old job, you called her and you're like, yeah, you have to take a pay cut, and she followed you. So that that just speaks volumes on your character and that she believes in you, because for people to want to take a pay cut, they have to believe in the mission and the person behind the mission. So that's just really exciting that in 2 years you were able to do all this growth, branch into Las Vegas, and have people follow you and believe in your mission.
Thank you. I'm about relationships and reputation and commitment to people and integrity. So I knew that whoever was going to start with me needed to live and breathe my culture in order for me to be successful. So it was really, really nice when she said, I was scared. I thought she was going to say no. And she's like, I'll do it. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
That's very cool. I can only imagine the time you started your business, the work climate has changed because of lockdown. And I can only assume that you may have had experience of hiring people that work remote, but it was a new thing for most of us. I do it myself personally. I love it. I still do it. I'll never go back to that office atmosphere. But when you're hiring people, it's one thing that someone sits in a chair for 8 hours a day and you can kind of monitor and coach and teach. Training's a big issue. But to hire someone now and go, okay, now go home and turn that computer on and log in and start doing what you do, that's a whole different game. Am I accurate saying that? Is that a whole new learning skill for you and your staff as well as the employees that are working for those people?
Whole new learning skill.
Yeah.
Really being able to identify those people that can stay self-motivated and be able to accomplish those tasks. So asking the right questions to get those individuals ready to work for you. And then a lot of them end up finding out that remote wasn't really what they wanted to do. And then now you have the ones that really loved it, but it was a whole new set of skills that you had to learn. And the HR compliances make workers' comp compliance. There's a whole new set of problems that came about once that happened.
No, I hear all the rules, the regs, the comp, the liability, the rest periods, the break periods. And now, because I do employee benefits, and I just went to a SHRM conference today, Lunch and Learn, and was looking at all the new additional benefits, which I'm familiar with. And you probably know this, probably won't shock to you, but bring your pet to work is a big deal now.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I bring Milo into the office. Everyone already loves him. But it really is, though. Because it's hard.
But people have been on
lockdown. With them for 2 years in your house. They're attached to you. You're attached to them. I mean, I got separation anxiety when we started moving in here. And I was like, I can't bring Milo every day. And then I started taking him on Fridays. And now I take him here and there. But it's a big deal. It really is.
Yeah, you get used to your pets when you're at home. I completely get it. And a lot of people realize that their pet does help them relax them. And it's a great mental health, I think, for companies to really consider if they can have a bring your pet to work day.
I think the mentality of employers has changed a lot through the last couple of years of instead of ruling with the old iron fist, 8 to 5, get your job done. How come, make sure you're taking your breaks and, just really micromanaging, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I know in my business, of course, we're commission people. And if you don't work, you don't get paid.
Exactly.
So we have our own motivators, but it's kind of like, I don't care if you work 5 hours or when you work, just make sure you do your job or you'll be exposed and we'll replace you. And so it's a different climate, and it's much more relaxed. And I truly believe, like the animal thing, we're more productive. We're more comfortable. And we're very much more efficient because there's less interruptions in an office atmosphere. You can really focus. A lot less cost. You don't have to get up 3 hours early and get dressed to drive to the office to go to your first appointment. And now most of our appointments are electronic, Zoom, or whatever you want to call it. So it's really changed. You don't have to look at gas costs. But it doesn't work for everybody. Yeah. And I completely get it. But I can imagine the hiring process has really changed, and there's a lot of things that you just can't uncover when someone's working from home. I had a discussion with a client yesterday that terminated an employee. They called me, let me know to terminate their coverage. I said, and I knew the person is fairly new. I don't know them personally, but I knew it was a new hire within 6 months. I said, what happened? They said, she was working 3 jobs from home. And
Yes.
all of them were paying her, because it wasn't like keystrokes 8 hours or what. It's like, it's like a call center, and they put them in the shuffle. And so she's working basically for 3 different companies. And obviously that wasn't,
It's not the first time I hear it.
that wasn't knowledge. That wasn't the design. So that didn't work out very well.
I have heard it a couple of times. I also had a client that was interviewing someone, and during the interview, that person decided to say, yeah, I'm still working. I'm a remote worker, but I'm still looking for another job. I'll just do both of them.
Right.
Oh, no.
And it's unfortunate.
I know that you have a lot of passion. I've seen you around the workplace, if you will, or social place,
Yes.
For a couple years probably. And I know you've always been successful, whoever you worked for. But why did you really want to go out and start your own?
I wanted to create my own culture.
Okay.
I wanted to create a company that I truly believed in, and that what I was saying to my clients was really going to happen. I decided that I couldn't change people's cultures. I couldn't change the way people did business. They weren't my businesses. I had to go in and work for somebody and become a chameleon, whatever works for them. Mm-hmm. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling like my passion and my vision was coming. And that's when I sat there, and I could have ran another branch. And I said to myself, I am going to have to follow the rules of another corporation. And one of my best friends at the time looked at me and just said, why don't you do it on your own? Create your own culture, create your own dreams, create a legacy. And I went for it, and I do not waver on it. I hire a lot based off of my culture and my vision and my mission statement. People who will live it, breathe it, believe it, because I can train you. I can train you to do the job I need you to do. I just need you to have expertise in the field that you were working in, but believe in my culture. That way it doesn't waver, it doesn't change. And I can create a company that's $1 billion company, hopefully by 2040, that lives and breathes its mission statement and its culture.
And that's one of the best things about our podcast. One of our main goals is entrepreneurship. And what I hear you saying is you were being held back. You couldn't be real. Couldn't be you.
Exactly.
You're working for someone else. And again, hats off in a very volatile climate to take that leap, if you will. And I know you're successful because I know you.
Yes.
And it's fun to see, and it's exciting. I want to talk a little bit about the staffing agency for those who don't understand. You guys use some words that a lot of people aren't familiar with. Like, what's the word direct hire mean?
Direct hire is when an employer is looking for an employee. It's usually executive level or a management level, and they pay us a direct fee for them. So it's a one-time fee, whatever.
Is that more of a what I would call a headhunter?
Headhunter.
Okay.
Exactly. Where it's a headhunting fee. I love the word headhunting. There's a story to that, but I love the word. I really do love that word. Yes, it's a headhunting fee. So you pay me a fee to find you the right candidate, and that's a direct hire fee.
So where do you find these candidates?
Oh, everywhere. A lot of it really is word of mouth, referrals. You have to build a book of business and a little black book of people that trust you.
Yeah.
They'll give you information that you really need.
Right.
It's not on Indeed. It's not ZipRecruiter, not for direct hires. I always tell my direct hire recruiters, if you're looking at ZipRecruiter and Indeed, everybody else's, you're not going to find those people. It's word of mouth and LinkedIn and referrals. That's basically where I find them.
If I were to call you and I own a fabrication shop, I'm just going to grab something out of the air here, and I need 10 people. We got a new project and we need 10 people, light industrial work. I think that you can fit that mold. do you have 10 people in your back pocket, or do you have to go out and find those 10 people? I know that there's a process, but do you have a reservoir to work from?
For light industrial, we do. I just opened the light industrial division 2 months ago, officially brought in 2 people that have a lot of light industrial experience in sales and recruiting. And we have built a pipeline. Before I opened the division officially, we started building that pipeline. But when we would contact people, we would let them know we don't have the orders yet, but we are building it, and we would love to have your resume on hand. So when we're ready to start placing people, you're available. So we built the pipeline, and now I have a recruiter working on it 40 hours a week.
What's the process of screening a candidate? Does that kind of depend on the customer?
Depending on the customer.
Because obviously today and age, drug testing, maybe your DMV report, things like that.
Depending on
background checks.
On the customer, yes. Depending on the level, the position, and the customer. So background checks, drug tests, social media. Reference.
Oh, you get to look at social media.
Yeah, so many people. Cause
maybe I shouldn't have posted that.
I mean, it's so true. I mean, I'm a millennial, and I also go look at people when they apply for a job for me. I will go look at their social media, and if it's vulgar or there's things that are inappropriate, I automatically just don't even interview them. Mm-hmm. In my employee handbook, I literally have a portion in there that says, like, you're representing the company now that you're hired here, and, like, you know, make sure you're not posting inappropriate things on your social media, especially if you're tagging that you work here, you're putting on LinkedIn that you work here, you're representing us, and I don't want, you know, inappropriate content.
Completely agree. You and I, we are brand. People see you, Atlas Financial. People see me, Cazador Consulting Group. Mm-hmm. So all our employees are direct reflection of us.
Right.
So be very careful what you post. But I tell that also to all the people applying through me. Be careful what you post, because they will research you. And whether you're one-sided or the other-sided, it doesn't matter. That's up to you. But you don't know who you're going to work for. And you don't want them to, without even thinking, make an assumption about you, because you've already put it out there. And it's really difficult, right? But they can. You don't know what someone's thinking. You have no idea. And your resume could be on the right because you decide to put something vulgar on social media when you shouldn't have. My screening process is depending on the client and exactly what they are needing. I really focus on that.
Right, right. So we talked about direct hire. There's temp to hire, and then there's temp project. So a temp to hire, I would assume, we'll pick on Amanda. You hire, I'm looking for someone. You send me Amanda. I hire her. She works out over 6 months or whatever my criteria might be, and I like her and it's a good fit, and I go ahead and take her off your payroll instead of paying you, and now she's my direct employee.
Yes, I roll her over. She's all yours.
Okay. And then project is just, hey, I have a project that's 3 months long and I need 4 people, and then hopefully I have more work, but at this point I don't, and that's the temp situation.
Correct.
Because I think people probably give your industry a little bit of disservice. We always call temp services.
Exactly.
Yes,
completely understand that.
And it's easy for me to get into that too, and I realize you're a staffing agency and not just a temp service. And what happens when you send me a candidate and they work out great for a few weeks, and then within the first couple months, what's the process there? Do I say, okay, let's start over? And do I continue to pay you for new applicants? Or is there any type of guarantee that your firm offers?
I offer a guarantee with my direct hires. Direct hires, you will definitely get a guarantee. I give you a 1-year guarantee. And it's me and the client have a conversation. Luckily, there's not much red tape. I'm the red tape. And I have those one-on-one conversations. You will get a 1-year guarantee, though. Basically, if they don't work out by a year, I will replace them at half the cost.
Right. Mm-hmm. Is it harder to find C-suite type employees rather than, I'll call it rank and file, or maybe general labor, those specialty markets?
Oh, yes.
Because, today in SHRM, and you belong, I know, and I think you've been around us too, mm-hmm. There's 15 jobs, and there was only 40 people in the audience today. So if it was 150, there would be 100 jobs. And I'm in the insurance world, and half of my clients have reached out to me. So-and-so's retiring. Do you know anybody? And it's just, everyone's looking. And I don't know if it's, we talk about the great resignation. Do you believe that's a true statement? Or I think it's true, but I guess my question is, why are we in this climate? I want to hear your take on that.
I believe that there's not a great resignation in a sort of way. People are just not really wanting to go out there and work. I think there's more fear of what's going to happen, or also you're waiting to find out if you're going to be able to get benefits again, because on the news, it's doom and gloom.
Yes.
state of emergencies here and there, COVID popping up again. And so you're not really having the employees wanting to go back to work. That's what I think is happening right now.
But also the job market is wide open. It's an applicant market, right?
Exactly.
I mean, if I was to go look for help wanted, I would assume there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of jobs. I mean, I haven't seen an employer from a restaurant to whatever that's not looking for people.
Right now is a headhunting market. Right now, it's not a temp to hire. It's not a temp, see if they work out. Just tell them it's only for a 3-month project. If I like them, then I'll bring them on. I don't want to have them to feel like I'm committing to them. Right now is you need an employee, find a headhunter and pay them for a guarantee and just bring them on. Because right now we have to find employees that are currently working and are unhappy with the culture that they are in or the environment, and your environment works better for them. It's not going to be money. It's going to be selling your culture and your environment.
And we were discussing this. So I know Lizette personally in the social group and other things that we do here in Bakersfield. And a mutual friend of ours is another CPA firm. And there's other CPA firms that I work with. Every single firm I know we're looking for people and we're trying to hire. And you and I were discussing how do we hire people who actually have the skills in what we do? It's so hard because everyone's hiring, everyone's trying to do it. And now it's becoming, this is where my firm came in. This is why we're being successful because I've pivoted, but outsourcing to each other now because we can't hire somebody and have them and be like, hey, I need a full-time bookkeeper. Well, there's not anybody applying for that. Or they're applying from it and they're coming from the oil fields or the ag where they've only done AP or AR, one division over. They can't do full charge bookkeeping and they want, $25 an hour and they're like, they don't know how to do a journal entry. They don't know how to debits and credits.
Yes.
So it's like, well, I'm not paying you $25 an hour to do that. You're worth minimum wage. You only know how to do AP.
Exactly.
And they don't want to take the pay cut. It's so hard.
Bookkeepers are so hard to find right now because that is happening. I have about 6 bookkeeper positions open right now and within CPA firms, ag, oil and gas. And people are applying for these jobs that don't qualify for the job, that I cannot submit them. I just had to tell a great client of mine, I only gave her 1 resume in the past week. Week before that, she got 2. And I said, they're applying, but they're not the right people. So then we had to have that discussion. It needs to turn into a direct hire. So now I'm on headhunting mode. All right, let me start looking at these people that are working and see if they're willing to leave that company for a better culture.
Or does it come to a pivoting point? Because like I said, CPA firms, we're starting to band together and outsource to each other because we also are having a hard time finding bookkeepers. And we're now competing with those firms trying to hire bookkeepers, which is taking less bookkeepers off the market. Is it going to get to the point where your firm can pivot and start working with those CPA firms instead of having a direct hire, being let's outsource to CPA firms who can do the bookkeeping instead of having somebody in-house doing your bookkeeping?
I think that could be a very, very good option of us having those conversations because in the positions regarding numbers, I think that's something that they can do. Definitely start pivoting and start outsourcing.
Lizette, I want to ask you a question. My gears are grinding over here. And I know that there's a shortage and everyone's looking, and there's a lot of staffing companies that I'm aware of now, and it seems like that industry has grown a lot in 2 years. Just like HR consulting. I know a lot of people that were HR people working for firms, and now they're all consultants, which is great. There's obviously tells me there's a huge demand for it. But when we talk about labor shortage, and yes, we can talk about the change in the climate, the COVID and all the things and the rules and regs, and people want flexibility for days. And we do that all the time. But do you think the biggest problem we have, I'll just talk about us here locally, is people don't do well when it comes to succession planning?
Yes.
Because I know I can talk about our own firm or any other firm that I do business with. And they're seniors, we'll just call it. And, not everyone retires at 65. Some people work till 80 today. Okay, that's fine. But they kind of wait until the bookkeeper, the CEO, the CFO, the accountant is a month before retirement. And then they call people like you, Lizette, and say, hey, I need a new CPA. Instead of bringing in maybe a junior accountant and training them as an intern or whatever for 2 years and handing over the ropes and finding out if that's a fit. So I think it's really am I close?
You are very close. People are not planning ahead. You need to plan ahead for every position that you have within your culture, in your company, in that department. Where do you see that employee going? Have those monthly 15-minute reviews, 6 months, 1 hour reviews. 1 year, 2 hour reviews where you're aware of what they're thinking and where they're going to go. If they are someone that's really important within your organization, you need to have a plan if they decide to take another position within your organization that pays more money or they get taken away from you. So hire people that can replace them. And you can do that. You can hire an accounting clerk that you can train, and little by little, you'll start seeing what your company is doing and be ready to replace the bookkeeper when the bookkeeper decides to leave.
So do you do any of that with groups that you do business with and say, hey, let's talk about the future, the vision? What's your 5-year plan look like? What's your 10-year plan? You got 4 people at 64 years old. Do you do any of that?
I do it with my client that I have a really good relationship with.
Sure.
Because it's a very personal thing, right?
Yes.
Your business is your baby. So I do have those conversations. If they allow me to give them my insight and what I'm seeing on my side, we do have those plans. As I called my company Cazador Consulting Group,
yes,
because I want to give people the opportunity to sit down and have those conversations with me. I don't just want to be someone that's going to send you resumes. I want to be someone that is a partner with you. I'm part of your company. I want to know what's going on. Where are you going? 5 years from now, how big do you want to be? So I know that I want to be $1 billion company by the time it's 2040. So I need to cut back from there. In 5 years from today, where do I need to be and how many employees do I need to have? Who and within my company do I see is going to take those positions that are going to be very important? And what type of people do I need to bring in to replace the people I have now? And I do that with a few of my clients.
And I like that because I think that's a big missing component. The mentality of, okay, you're retiring on Friday. I'll call Lizette and we'll get somebody else in here. Well, guess what? That job that you're looking for has a lot of openings through the community. And we know 25 people are looking for those, if not 100. And that pool, that reservoir of people that you think there's 100 applicants just waiting for you to open your door or for someone to retire is not there.
Not there.
Yeah.
You need to start thinking, well, why would someone want to work for you? It's no more like, well, they have a job. No, it's a lot more than that. What do you offer? Do you offer free coffee in the morning for your employees?
Yes.
Do you have work parties that they can go to? Do you give incentives, bonuses? Do you have where you give them gift cards every once in a while for doing a good job? Those things need to start happening now, and you need to start putting them out there for people to know that you're doing this because environment and culture is important.
It sounds like they need to follow you on social media because I know you do a lot of that for your employees.
I do. I truly believe that I need to live and breathe what I feel works. And it's not going to work for everybody. You know, maybe a CPA firm, sometimes it won't work. But I do. And I have parties for them at my house every 3 months where we bring the kids and the kids get to play with each other and get to know each other. We do a lot of things that create an environment where they can come up to each other when there's an issue that's going to happen and be able to have those open conversations because they trust each other and they like each other.
Just to circle back before we get off topic to a different topic here, because we're talking about, planning for the future and kind of, meeting with your employees. And you said like monthly or quarterly or something. Like, what would be some examples that you would tell your clients on how to start that conversation with their employees and like trying to see what they want for the future and things? Because like I can pull my employee in here right now and be like, oh, what is your plans for the next year? And maybe they might not know, or they know and they don't want to tell me.
Succeeding within your company. That's what they're going to say.
Exactly. So how do you kind of like, is there a way, do you coach your clients to try to get that out of their employees?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that I can coach a client that is able to have an open conversation with their employees, and the employee knows that you're looking out for them and that you want them to be happy. When that happens, then they're willing to open up to you and give you more information. For example, if somebody comes to me and says, I really want to live in Texas. How many years from now? Oh, about 5-6 years. Well, that should let me know that that person is going to have plans to leave me. But you need to be able to have that communication and open door policy where they can talk to you and not be afraid that they're going to get let go because they're telling you something you don't want to hear. It's okay to hear that your employee's not happy. Right. It's okay for them to tell you, you know what, your company is just a little too happy for me. I can't do it. That's okay.
Sure.
Let's have those
conversations. It's not a fit for everybody.
No.
Right.
And it's better for you to know because you can start planning for it and bring someone in and then help them find their next opportunity. Help them with a better fit for them.
Or you can start a branch in Texas.
Exactly right. I'm like, well,
Which is interesting.
That's what I just told. That's what I just told my employee. I'm like, hey, you can open a branch in Texas. We're good.
Well, with the access of remote workers now, your market has grown because you don't have to have feet on the ground necessarily. In certain industries. I mean, yes. I have a technology company that's based here in Bakersfield that I do business with, and it was all here. And after lockdown, they're in 16 states now.
Right. Yes.
Because they all work remote and they're all technologies. They're computer programmers. So it's like it just opened the whole big market. And if you're having a hard time getting people to come to Bakersfield for recruitment reasons, if it is a truly virtual position, the opportunities are much larger.
Yes, there's a lot of opportunity for some companies. IT companies, definitely the ability to do remote work. I think where we suffer is when it's a HR company, when it's a sales company.
Yeah.
Where the refrigerator talk is really important.
Sure.
The ability to understand how your coworkers are feeling so that you can help them out if you need to help them. Why aren't they meeting their numbers? If you're not looking at them and not having conversations with them, you don't know that Joe's father just passed away or something happened. So there's certain industries that won't work, but definitely I think IT is one of the companies that should look more into remote workers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about a couple industries that you kind of specialize in. I think I may have pulled some off your webpage. Obviously, IT, we just talked about sales and technology, clerical, accounting, HR, admin, warehouse, general labor, and light industrial. Is there any area that I didn't mention that you just mentioned that you just started the light industrial? Congratulations.
Thank
Obviously,
you.
You're growing leaps and bounds.
That was so scary. One of the scariest things I've ever done.
So what is light industrial? Warehousing?
Warehousing, blue collar work.
And before that, you did really no blue collar? It was pretty much all white collar?
Very little blue collar.
Okay.
So if you were a client of mine that had some light industrial, for example, general laborers,
yes,
I would help you because I trusted you and I knew that my employees were going to be safe. And I started to now branch out a little bit more. I've been in this business a year and a half, 19 months now.
Going fast.
It's going fast. So that's when I'm like, okay, let's do this. But yes, I do a general labor, welders, diesel mechanic.
Okay.
I do it, a lot of it.
So with our industry in the Central Valley, ag and oil, yes, there's office jobs, white collar, but a lot of blue collar.
Yes.
That's not your specialty, but you're getting to, you just mentioned welding and some of those other things, roustabouts, probably things like that. Now, when we talk ag, are you doing anything in ag? Because I know there's cold storage, which is warehousing, but how about field work, like farm labor contract?
No, I do not do farm labor contractors. I do the cold storage.
Yeah.
I do help in those type of positions, inventory, shipping,
Maintenance manager, stuff like that.
quality control. Yeah, those positions, but nothing in the farm labor side of it.
Gotcha.
Contracts are so extensive and so hard too, and the regulations just in that industry it's hard to tap into.
But sometimes people want to extend themselves because the money is there, right? I am a believer that it's not about the money. Yes, I do say I'm going to be $1 billion company, but it just has nothing really to do about really the money. To me, it's just I want to be the first Latina minority-owned staffing agency. That's a corporation. I also want to be able to give back to my community. I want to build a house in Mexico. I was a single mom at once. I want to be able to give back to single moms. It has to be bigger than you. And so when it's bigger than you start thinking about the money and trying to take on everything and focusing on what you are good at. And that's why it took me so long to open light industrial, was because I didn't know it. Even though I did work for a staffing agency for a short time, that's what they specialize in, but I didn't know it. I was doing direct hires. So then I started connecting with light industrial companies and learning more about them and about their cultures. And then I found the right fit, the right employees that were ready to move. So I decided to open it, but I need to trust those employees and I trust them.
Something you said right now is about community and legacy, which you said a few times. And, like I said earlier here, I personally know you and I serve on some boards with you and a lot of community events. And we were just both nominated for the Bakersfield Beautiful Awards.
Congratulations again.
Both of you ladies, congratulations.
Can you just a little bit elaborate on some of the things that you do here locally for the community? Because you are not just like an employer who's trying to build a $1 billion company. You do stand behind this community and do a lot for it.
Yes. I like to volunteer a lot. I volunteer for Latina Leaders of Kern County with their seniors. There are senior groups. I usually go and speak to them. I am part of the Dress for Success board. I'm also the committee chair for the Dress for Success Gala. I am involved with the Women's Business Conference. I am on the board. I do so much. I'm on the Rotary board also for my downtown Rotary. So I am very involved. I go to a lot of community events and I try to give my time, do whatever I can to improve this community. Because what we tend to forget is without your community, you don't have success. Because your community is who believes in your mission, who believes in you, who gives you business.
Right.
And as business owners, I think it's okay to not grow as quickly as you would like to financially when you're giving back to those people that are giving to you.
You have a purpose.
Yeah, there's a purpose.
Do you also do the Bakersfield leadership?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in Leadership Bakersfield with the Chamber of Commerce also.
Sure.
Right.
Which is
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
One of the best organizations, I think, in order for us to meet other leaders, because even though I'm very connected in town, I go into that group and I didn't know about 75% of the people in that group.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was a shocker to me because I'm not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned from new people and other perspectives, and you need that.
For entrepreneurs who are listening, do you want to give a little bit of detail? Because there's a class every year.
Yes.
You're just a part of this year's class, but next year there'll be a new class.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yes, you go ahead and you apply, and you have to be picked. There's a strenuous process. You go through a committee, and they review your application, and then they decide if they're going to interview you, and then you go through the interview process where 3 people interview you. Then for a whole year, you go to classes once a month where you're there all day, 8 hours a day, and then you have to have a project. So you get into another group and you create a project that's going to benefit Kern County in some sort of way. And you create that project together. And then at the end of the year, then you present that project. So right now, our project is we are creating, it's going to be a job fair, but not a job fair. We don't want to call it that. It's an expo where students between the grades of 10th and 11th grade are going to come, and we are going to introduce them to different trades, but not only the trades, the successful individuals within our community that work in that trade and do very well. Why? Not all our kids want to go to college right away. Right. So why don't we expose them to these other jobs, but not just by having a job fair and here's a flyer, here's this. Why don't you create a mentor? Why don't you meet someone that's done this? And they're going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about doing things the way you are doing them. I don't have college education. Well, I do. I have about 18 units, 18 to 22. I don't count anymore. Graduated in 2000, long time ago. I wish I would have had someone tell me about sales and explain to me how it happens, and that sales is not just selling a car.
Right.
There's a bigger world out there, because I think that I would have gotten here a lot quicker. It's okay. Everything happens at its time, but I do wish I had those mentors. So we're going to provide that to our students this year in October. We're going to be having that at CTEC.
That's
awesome.
Cool.
Yes.
Very cool. I just thought of something when you were just talking about that program. And do you use CTEC and ROC here for candidates that didn't go to college, but more or less a trade school to learn a profession and get some on-the-job experience? Are those candidates for some of your openings?
Yes, actually, we do have some of those candidates apply to us. And I will be speaking to Brian Miller pretty soon. Brian Miller, you're listening?
He was on.
If you're listening, I'm going to speak to you again.
Great program.
Yes, because I think that we can definitely partner and do more together.
Right.
It's a great program. I am a true believer in ROC and CTEC.
Well, I can definitely see that you are giving back to the community. And you know what? I'm not taking anything from you, Lizette, but I will say this. Kern County is family.
Yeah.
Bakersfield's family. We're a big, small town. Yep. People support people. I can't believe, I'm involved in plenty of fundraisers and stuff. And I was looking at one today that I'm involved in for a client of mine. And I looked at the national statistics, and we are thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars higher than anyone in the nation. And there's there's probably 100 different cities across. It's like Bakersfield just comes together, and people like you, we definitely appreciate it. I want to talk about balance.
Okay.
You're a busy gal.
Yes.
You get up early, you go to work early, you work hard.
Yes.
But you have a family, you have children.
Yes.
You have friends.
Yes.
What's your secret?
It's
no sleep?
Work-life balance is a myth, complete myth. I really, really believe that you have to decide what is your one thing that's most important for the day when you're at work, and conquer that one thing. And then what's most important when you get home, and conquer that one thing. But during the day, whether I spend 2 hours with my children or 8 hours with my children, it's about the quality of the time that you're with them.
Good point.
I know plenty of people that are with their children for 6-7 hours a day, but the children are watching TV, playing outside, which is fun, but what are they learning from me? So when I'm with my boys, I give them 100% of my attention, and I do things with them that I feel are going to impact them and I feel they're going to remember. For example, I remember my mom cooking for us and me enjoying it. So I make sure I do that in front of my boys, and I'm speaking to them as I'm cooking. Yeah. So they're aware that I'm still here. At work, I just focus 100% on that task, that person in front of me, or that task that needs to get done. We all need to remember, what is our one thing that we need to do to feel successful for the day? And we create these big to-do lists of different things that need to get done. Are all those things going to get you where you need to be? My success comes from placements. So my most important thing to do in my job is to place people. So my one thing has to be placements. Everything else, I need to put it second. And then once I finish with that one thing to get me to placements, what's your next one thing? And do it at home.
What helps you with like the burnout? Because you're just at as many social events as I am, because not only does it help your branding, your community things that you do, but it helps your business because now you're getting clientele for, your black book. Because sometimes I get to I went to 5 events in one week, and I'm on all these boards and I have all these committees, and then I have to do work, and I don't have children. So I get burned out. What helps you hit that from hitting that burnout? What helps you get out of burnout?
I hit bottom, right? And I finally realized what burnout felt like. And so what I decided to do is first I started getting healthier again, because I gained a lot of weight because you're just going, right? Get something to eat. Just hurry up and go. So I started sleeping correctly. So I sleep at least my 7 hours.
So important.
At least my 7 hours. And I don't waver on that. I think about what time I'm going to be up the next day, and I make sure I go to sleep when I need to. I drink a lot of water. It really does help you. You don't realize how much drinking all that water does. But also meditating and yoga. Good. Every night before I go to sleep, I listen to meditation so that I can just turn off my brain. And during the day, I just go. But listen to your body.
Right.
Yep.
Really listen to your body and what your body is doing. And I'm starting to do that, and I'm starting to see the benefits. My face got clearer, started losing weight, more retention, and I'm happier. But because I want to help everybody. I don't know how to say no.
You're a pleaser.
I am, and I love it. But burnout does exist. But just get my sleep, get my meditation in, and get my hugs to my boys. I think that, as soon as I hug my boys and they hug me back, it's okay, it's worth it. Keep on going, Lizette. You got this.
Recharge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's fun. You've definitely educated Amanda and I today, and I know all of our listeners, you're doing a great service. We like to have a little fun with our guest.
Okay.
And what we call rapid fire questions. I don't know if you've seen these, but they're not too hard. You'll probably be okay. So, Amanda, you want to pick the first one?
Sure, of course. What is the best advice you have ever received?
Do it afraid.
You had a slogan, and I had a note. What was that? Let me see if I can find that. I know I wrote that down somewhere. Do you know where I'm talking about?
I think so. I have another one that I use sometimes.
I can and I will.
I can, I will.
Just watch me.
I can, I will. Watch me.
Is that your quote, or is that someone's that you used?
It's most likely out there somewhere.
Sure, I'm sure.
But I now live and breathe it every day. My vision board on next to my desk says, I can, I will, watch me. When I'm doubting myself, when other people are doubting me, I can, I will, watch me. And I just go for it. Go for it. Hear me roar.
You're a very positive person. Fun to be around. If you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
It's okay not to be perfect.
I like it. Be real.
Mm-hmm. Be authentically yourself. Not till I started being authentically myself to myself and others did I start seeing success.
It's the best thing about podcasts, because we get deep, we get the passion, we get the entrepreneur spirit, and then it gets very personal.
Yes.
And it's really a lot of fun for us to do this.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Changing your life in a positive way, making you laugh and smile. That's so important to me. I want people to remember me by saying, she changed my life. She helped me. She would make us smile. She would laugh a lot. I want you to remember my laugh. I used to tone down my laugh because people were telling me it was too loud. Not anymore. When I started loving me and being okay with who I was, and now I have people say, Lizette, we miss your laugh.
Sure.
You need to come see us. I'm okay, on my way. Let's hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Hey, podcast listeners, we have Lizette Patterson, founder and CEO of Cazador Consulting Group Incorporated. Lizette, we learned a lot. We thank you for your time today, and we thank you for your service to the community.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys, and thank you for what you do too.
The show has been brought to you by the Law Office of Kyle Jones, Troy Burden with the Lynn Company, CPA John Duffield, Scott Hansen Real Estate Lender, broker and investor, Dave Plivlich, President and CEO of the Marcom Group and MarcomBranding.com, and Amanda DiGiacomo, President of Atlas Financial Solutions. You've been listening to the Our 2 Cents podcast. Check out the show notes for links and more information about the show. Also visit our website at our2centspodcast.com or catch us on Instagram at Our 2 Cents Podcasts. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share with others.